7 o'clock, stand for the pledge, please.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, get the approval of the minutes.
I so move.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Is there a motion to accept the financial report and payment of the bills?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. No budget amendments, Steve?
No, none tonight.
Okay. Reverend Trent? There he is. How you doing? Ken?
Test one, check one, testing. One, check. Testing, check, check. Good job.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Good evening,
Number
everyone.
one.
Going to be brief tonight. Try to anyway. We had a lot of good things happening last couple months, June and July. June we had great numbers to report to the mayor and council. You know, with discharge from the plant, VOD less than 2, total spending solids less than 1. Total nitrogen, average ammonia was 0.25 going out of the plant. Everything looking really good down there. We made some, still working on the clarifier. The majority of that work's been completed. We want to do some painting on the sludge collector, and we're gonna get that done. And we just got the paint in, but the main components have been reinstalled, and it's looking real good. So we got Walker, who was the manufacturer for the equipment, for the clarifier equipment. They're coming down next week. They were going to come down 2 weeks ago, but they didn't make it, so they rescheduled. So we're going to get them down next week. I believe it's like the 16th. But we believe everything's okay. We just wanted them to make sure everything was, you know, properly installed and everything before we actually put it online. So it's just, we did had a great golf tournament. That went real well. It was a good thing. I'm sure everyone had a good time, and no one won the $1 million though. I was. One thing that we're ongoing is we've been working on well 3 now for a while, and we're getting real close to getting that completed. So hopefully by next meeting we'll have all that work done.
Can we get more water out of well 3? I mean, with this drought, I mean, I know we got water, but I'm just wondering if it could be pumped more.
We're taking. We can take more water right now. We have the withdrawal set right now to take the maximum amount to be below the monthly average for the year. I think I said that right. But we could take more water now and then back off like in the fall, or because we actually did that last year. We took more water from well 3 during the summer months, and then backed off like in November and December to bring the maximum average down below the allowed amount, which I think is from well 3 is like about 500,000 a day. We get a lot of water out of well 3. We're taking with both wells 1 and 3, we're processing close to 700,000 gallons a day from those 2 wells. So we're getting as much water. I mean, like I said, we could take out some more water, but
we aren't permitted for so much, right?
Well, yeah, and like I said, we have it set to come below the maximum average amount, but that's averaged over 12 months. So there's nothing to say that you can't take more in the month of July and August and September, and then cut back in September, October, November, December. So we did that last year because, you know, when Big Elk Creek, the flow of Big Elk Creek got down last year, I think it got down to like around 11 or 12 cubic feet per second, we had to do that. And when we did that, we were able really not to take, we got by last summer without really taking any more water from Artesian than we really needed to. But even though we contacted Artesian and put them online, told them, you know, gave them a heads up that, hey, look, you know, the flow in Big Elk is down, we may be taking water, and I think that triggered the second phase of that contract. I know Lewis could explain it to you better than I can. But when you and I talked last year, that's one of the things we did. We went ahead and increased the flow out of well 3 and 1 to the maximum amount we could take and still be within the guidelines of the permit. And it really got us through by doing that.
Good.
So I'm hoping it rains a lot tonight, because right now the flow in the creek is down about 16 cubic feet per second. So if it gets any lower, we're going to be taking, you know, less and less out of the creek. So, but that we'll do that. So that's really all I had to talk about. Unless you have anything you wanted to bring up.
All right. Anybody have any other questions?
I just want to thank Ken and Severn for that golf tournament. It was great.
It was a great time.
We had a great time.
We'll do that every
Thank you
year.
very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ken.
Was there an odor or smell last week? Pardon?
Yeah, remember I asked about the odor,
Well,
that was from the, what do you call
we
it?
had
Well, the reason why I asked, and I guess the mayor asked the same thing, I was stopped by someone at Walmart the other night, and I guess this is the opportunity to bring it before you, and I guess he must have had a similar thing, so you have a response.
Yeah, I do. When I talked to the mayor, there's a couple things, possibilities that we have this junction box right there next to the plant between Burger King and the plant, and it's a large junction box, and all the flow from the town comes into this box, and not 100% of the town, but I would say 90% of the flow that comes, the wastewater flow that comes from the town comes through this box. Anyway, the town has
And what's the purpose of that box?
it's a collection box. It collects all the flow before it goes into the plant.
Okay.
So you have, you know, several large trunk lines that feed into this box from different zones from the town. And majority of your flow is pumped in, because we have like 13 pumping stations throughout the town, and then but some of it's gravity flow into this, but it all goes through this collection box. And anyway, there's events on this box, and DPW puts these carbon filters on these vents, and I think one of them needs to be changed. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing, because when the mayor called me, you know, I wasn't aware of this, but we had a problem with the sludge dryer that day. And what happened was, we have this, it's a boiler, and we have this, it's called an igniter tube, and this igniter tube sits down into the boiler, and it fires it up. It fires the gas and lights, and then keeps the boiler firing and burning. And we've had problem with this igniter tube. It's about that long, and we have problems with the end of it burning off. The metal actually on the end of this igniter tube, it burns off. It gets so hot that it burns off. And we've replaced it maybe 4 or 5 times. We get about maybe 6 months out of one. And we've had Gowdy has repaired this item for us, and we've tried thick, heavier duty metal. And when the original metal on this igniter tube was very thin, it was like maybe 3/32 of an inch thick. It was very thin steel, and it was just regular, coal steel. It wasn't stainless steel or anything like that. So anyway, the other day, we were processing sludge through the dryer, and it shut down, and it shut down on burner failure. So when it went down on burner failure, we knew where we had a good idea was this igniter rod. So we pulled the igniter rod out, and yes, indeed, the end of it was burnt off. So we got it fixed. So make a long story short, when this went down, we had a burner failure, we were right in the middle of a load of material inside the dryer. So when it failed, the material was sort of stuck inside the dryer itself. There was no way for us to get it out. It was like half done. It was half dried. It wasn't completely dried. So when that happens, you have to correct the problem. And once you correct the problem, then you could go back and run it in a manual operation and till you can get the material dry to get it out of the dryer. So the material was in there probably for 2 days before we were able to get the igniter rod, before Gowdy could get it back working, or before we could put the igniter rod back in and fire it back up. So we did that. We fired it back up and we run it in manual. And I think when we ran it in manual, the material got hot. And when it gets hot, it smokes. And when it smokes like that, it gives off an odor that's a little different than what people may be used to. Now, it couldn't have went on very long, because once we hit a certain temperature, then we shut it down and we ejected the material, and the material was finished. It was dry. It was, the process was complete. There wasn't any damage or anything like that. And then they put the material in the silo. But I think that could have been it too. So I'm not 100% sure, but. We're trying to find out about this igniter rod. We haven't, to be honest with you, we haven't gotten a lot of real good feedback from Fenton. And Fuller is the name of the company that installed this boiler. And we've contacted the Fuller people many times, and they really won't give us any direction either. And we found out recently that we have to go through another company to get Fuller to come out and look at this boiler. And so we've learned a lot, but because in our O&M manual, we have a different configuration on the dryer than what's in our O&M manual. So we took pictures of this igniter rod and sent it to Fuller and sent it to Fenton, and he says, "This is what you got? This isn't what you're supposed to have." But this is what we got. So obviously they have these different models and they have these different parts, and what we have in our system is not what is in our O&M manuals. It's not what they think we have.
But we're getting the right one.
Well, what we have works. It works, but so the one gentleman, we did talk to a gentleman from Fuller, and he asked the question, well, you may have that igniter rod down too far, and maybe that's what's causing this end to burn off. And our response is, well, this is how it was installed. When we took it out, we put it back exactly. It had a line on it, so we put it right back to this line. So it's exactly back where it was when we first took it out, because I was there with Jim, and we took it out of the top of the boiler, and when we put it back, it was so.
Well, like it's happened. You say it's happened, but that's the first time we've got any, I guess, complaints about the odor. So everything else seems, other than that, the way it has been running, seems to have been pretty well.
Yeah, and I think the operator that when we got it back in, when we got this igniter rod put back in, and he was running in manual, I think he may have let it run too long, and it smoked a little bit. And when it smoked like that, it puts out a little bit of an odor, and I think that's what happened.
Even though that odor had escaped, it should be tied in somehow to the ventilation system, into that to the main ventilation system. That's one thing you need to check when you talk to him again, because there's no way that should be escaping if it's that new plant down there. I mean, it should be tied right into the ventilation system. You shouldn't have that.
Right. Let me explain it to you. That solids building, it has two large rooms. One side of the room is where the belt presses are, and then on the other side of the building is where the dryer system is. Now, the belt press side, it goes through this chemical scrubber that we had down there. Okay, the exhaust is taken out of the side with the belt presses, where the sludge is more apt to have an odor. So that exhaust goes through this chemical scrubber, where we chemically add like chlorine and sodium hydroxide to reduce the odor. Now, the side with the dryer, it doesn't go through a scrubber. It goes through it's It's an activated carbon. It's somewhat of a scrubber. It's not like a bio scrubber or a chemical scrubber like we have throughout other places in the plant. This goes through a carbon, basically a carbon filter. And I'm not, honestly, when it gets like that, I don't know how effective it is. I mean, typically, I don't think there's a problem because when everything's running right, when it's running the way it should run. But if it gets too hot, then I don't know if that, because I mean, obviously, I don't know because I wasn't there at the moment, so I'm just supposing that that's what the problem was.
Sounds like it might be like a combination, because I know when I called the mayor that afternoon, I didn't get the odor until I was like just about midway to pass the plant.
Is that right?
Going towards Burger King, and that's when I called him just to ask him if he had any complaints and to try to find out what was going on.
I tell you, I was coming down also. That actually it was around that same time, and I was across the street coming down. I was going west on 40, and I was like right at Burger King, and I smelled something, and it's not. I didn't think it was the dryer. I thought it was coming out of that junction box. That's what I thought, and that's what I told you, and that was my feeling. And I told you I was going to get with Mark. And I forgot to do that. I've been pretty busy, and I've been away, and I didn't talk to him about that. But I'll check and see, because I know that filter has to be changed. You know, they were changed, and I know it has been changed in at least a year.
Okay.
So I'll make sure that gets changed.
Sure. Okay. All right.
So it may not have been the dryer. It could have been.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah.
Good evening. You may recall that we had submitted a couple of petitions for annexation for various properties up generally the intersection of Lincoln Road and Iron Hill Road. We've now combined those petitions into one large petition for a little over 60 acres of ground. I think that ground is generally zoned now RM in the county, and we should be looking for R3 in the town, which is comparable zone classification. So it's just being presented tonight with the hope that if you will accept it, then we'll move forward with the public hearing process, and I will deal with your staff in terms of figuring out what else has to be presented between now and then, so we're ready for the public hearing. So that's kind of, I'll keep it short and sweet. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Yes. So you I see by the plot plan here, you didn't get the lands of Cyane, is it? That's what you got.
That's included.
Around?
That's included.
That's in there?
There's
We've got some
only-
in there now, but
There's only a couple parcels of people were not willing to sign on for. The vast majority of those parcels up there now are all included, which include the Sandy parcels, the Winslow land parcels, the Wilbur Properties parcels, and some other parcels are under contract. I don't know, I'm assuming in fairness to Michelle, I just dropped this off yesterday. We should have a description of the 66.
I was looking at them, I was just trying to figure out.
Shows the whole thing. There's just a couple of parcels that are not really, that we couldn't get to agree to the annex.
What is it, a total, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4? Looks like 4 parcels, or?
It looks like to me about 4 parcels, that's correct. And I had asked whether you wanted to include them or not include them, and give direction not to include those 4 parcels, since those people are not indicated as desire to be annexed. Everything across the street for them is also in town.
you got to buy all along Delancey Road.
Yes. We're pretty well taking up that whole, if you can remember, it's basically a triangular area, and we're pretty well taking up that whole triangular area, but with just a couple parcels. Which is started out with a few, we've just kind of expanded it out, so we're pretty well taken that whole area up there.
So you go just up a little past Wheelhouse Drive and Turnquist. Kitchen's there, and that's where you're gonna, that's basically where it ends, that corner.
That joins the town property. Kitchens does, and behind that. That comes off of Village Road. So he adjoins the back of the property of Village Road, Mr. Kitchen's property does.
All right.
You have to make a motion to accept.
I was gonna say, anybody have any other questions before we go? Anything?
Is the petition's in the name of Wilbur Properties and what's the other company?
Winslow Land Company and then Williams Sanding, so there's actually 3 parties that have invested in this. But we decided it was best to put them all together since all of that triangle for one petition.
All right, do I have a motion to accept the annexation petition? Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
We're back at you in public hearing. Thank you very much.
Okay, Louis.
The first item I have is ordinance 2011, excuse me. Ordinance 5/2011, amending chapter 1304, section 1304290, water and sewer rates, is hereby presented for introduction. The water and sewer rate adjustments included in this amendment reflect recommendations by the town's consultant, Municipal and Financial Services Group, Annapolis, Maryland, to provide adequate revenue for fiscal year 2012 to support the operating expenses, capital improvements, purchase of water from Artesian Water Maryland, and recommended reserves for the town's water and sewer funds, which are proprietary in nature and supported solely by customer-based revenue. A copy of the ordinance 5/2011 will be posted, or is actually, it is posted on the town's website. It isn't available in the administration office for public inspection. I will present ordinance 5/2011 for adoption at the Mayor and Commissioners meeting scheduled for Wednesday, August 17th at 7 p.m. Unless there are specific questions, I would recommend that the board accept ordinance 5/2011 for introduction purposes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept ordinance 5/2011 for introduction purposes only?
For introduction purposes only, I so move.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
1 aye. Okay.
One, is that it?
One.
Okay. Next item I have is opening of the 2011 road restoration bids. Received 3 bids: Dix Hollow Contracting, Inc., Meadows Construction, Inc., and S&M Paving, Inc. Dix Hollow. Dix Hollow Contracting Incorporated bids $348,066.28. Repeating, $348,066.29. Meadows construction bids $281,828.95. Repeating, $281,828.95. They must have used like 2 font when they did that. I don't know why. S&M paving bids $400,820. Repeating, $400,820. We'll evaluate these bids, and I would ask that the board tentatively grant a award to Meadows as the low bidder, $281,828.95.
Well, you don't really have to evaluate it, then you're asking
Well,
us because.
I'm asking for a tentative approval, otherwise I have to wait 2 weeks to come back again to start the process.
No, I didn't
We'll
say
get
that.
into
Your first comment
October.
was you need to evaluate the board. You were asking us to accept a little bit of it.
On a tentative basis, if there's a default or they fail to provide information, I will come back to the board.
Well, that
But
would
if
be
they
expected.
haven't, if
But that would be
all the bids are
expected.
acceptable,
But I'm saying your primary concern is for us to go with the low bidder. And if there's any questions, then you come back.
yes.
Right, I understand.
The consensus of the board then to go with the low bid?
It's mine.
The lowest bid.
Everybody all right with that?
Yes.
Okay, Louis. Meadow Construction.
Do we have a motion to accept the tentative?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business, I have a few. Senator Water Baker Bridge lights were out, and I reported to get them fixed. Apparently they were out there the other day and they got those fixed. The school crossing sign was defaced on North Street, Kemmer Avenue, so SHA repaired that. Partially green traffic signal lamp at the intersection of North Street was repaired. The State Highway Administration installed the truck restriction signs on Maryland 279. The other day, 3 signs were posted on Maryland 279 approaching North Street from east, I-95, and a predominant no truck over 5 tons, no turn sign was installed on Maryland 279 North Street on both sides of the intersection. And that was done. That was taken care of. Okay, I think that's all I have. Oh, the road restoration program, Buttonwoods Road, that's, I didn't expect to start that.
There's no,
Any idea?
it's up to the contractor. Once we have a pre-construction meeting and we award the contract, the contractor will give us a
Date start.
his schedule when and where he does work.
Okay.
Then I can share it with the board.
And if they had any ideas. Okay. And the energy savings grant,
We have approved the scope of work for KCI to proceed with the design of a pump, a motor, and 2 VFDs. The VFDs would not, one VFD would not be compatible with the current motor that's there, and consequently, we had to bring in an electrical engineer to do the analysis, and also they will perform a energy conservation analysis for us. But we had to submit that to the grant people.
okay. That's all I have. Mary Jo?
You took off my list.
Anything other business?
Old business for the community and recreation center, we haven't discussed any more from the last meeting. We had some different proposals given to the town, and we as the board have not come to any decision or conclusion on what we're doing yet as far as the community recreation center. We'd like to try to make a date so we can sit down and figure out whether we can go forward or we have to stop on this proposal, so that we can at least be able to let the developer or developers know which way we're going. So we'd like to find out when the board can get together and discuss this matter. That's all I have from the old business.
You got anything, Charlie, other business?
I don't have anything to it, but in conjunction with Earl saying, even though we talked about getting a new rec center, certainly I've had opportunity to spend time with Mary in Parks and Rec because I have a couple of grandchildren that have utilized the program this week. Certainly she's out of space over there, and I don't know what direction you're going to go, but certainly that should be some type of priority on the part of the town of Elkton to give her some more space because she do a great job, or does a great job, I'm sorry, and she does have a lot of equipment and things need to be a little bit better for her, I do think.
Any old business?
No business.
One thing I'd like to add to that comment, which I want to keep in mind, that this community center, recreation center, will be used for the community, not just for the kids, but it is very important that we find something that's going to be feasible and usable for the community. Because right now, it's been a terrible summer, not just for the kids, it's been a terrible summer for the parents as well, because kids have no place to go. And I want you to keep that in mind. So it's very dear to me that some action be taken, and we just don't sit on this and let it dwindle away. So that's my passion behind it.
Okay. All right. The other thing I have would be that we had the opening of the senior center, and it was a really nice day out there, and everybody really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful place. Getting an awful lot of compliments about it. And Dave Holden sent me an email, would like to have the grand opening actually in the afternoon on September 15th. So he's asking me to check with you guys if you would be, that would be a good day for you, so done in the afternoon on the 15th of September. So I can get back to them, is that?
What is 15th September on?
It's
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
What time?
He didn't give me, it'd be in the afternoon. All right, you're all right. So, okay, then I will let him know that that's a good date. Other than that, that's the only thing I have on my
No, but that senior center, it has a fixed price criteria for anybody moving in. Is that going to be maintained, or what is the vacancy rate right now, or is there? Does anybody know?
Well, when I was there, they had 20 people moved in, or actually moving in, and she got 10 more applications that very day. And I still see people moving in.
I did not say that. I understand what you're saying. I'm
I'm
talking about how many rooms are there?
60.
60. Oh, I thought it was more than
No,
that.
60.
Okay. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
You have to, you have anything?
Yes, Louis, we have a new person in HR. What has she done to indoctrinate her employees, or has she come up with any new initiative since we have transitioned from somebody that was there before to somebody that's new? Has she had the opportunity to meet with each of them individually or as a group so that she can give her a framework of what she's there for and what they can come to her for?
Yes, I believe so, because I know she's met with, has talked with Chief Ryan about the police department, along with his staff, and just today she met extensively with Mark Turnbull to talk about staffing down at the Department of Public Works. And obviously she talks to me quite frequently. She's already initiated the process of setting up a safety committee too, for risk management, and a list of people from each department involved in that, which Lidget has long wanted us to have. So things are going very well over Public Works over HR right now.
So you don't know if each individual, each employee you have had an opportunity to talk to her one-on-one?
I don't know if each of our 110 employees have spoken to her now.
Also, Laura sent to you an email in reference to a concern I had. You ride over Elkton, wherever you go, you just see a lot of grass growing in sidewalks on the street. And I know a few years ago back, we all had a concern, and Public Works worked extensive hours trying to get that out of the road. And as Mary Jo said, when somebody comes to your town, you want it to look presentable, and certainly in a lot of instances, it doesn't look good when you're riding down the street to see that. Of course, Lewis claims that, and he might be right that it belongs to the property owner, but in all cases, that's not the case. And, you know, that's a concern of mine. And I think that's it. What's that?
Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah. You remember we grubbed?
Oh, yeah.
You see the grass on the street now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to be sure I'm not sitting there
No.
riding this horse alone. Okay.
Judge?
In reference to the letter that we received from, I believe it was Mr. Crawford, I would like for us to be sure that we give a response to that.
Why would you give, you talking about in reference to the last meeting? Or why would you give a response, in my opinion again, to somebody's opinion? Do you waiver it? Do you change it? I mean, his mind was fixed. I mean, he said some things in the letter that I didn't like, and I know you all didn't like it either when, you know, you start talking about somebody's shoe size when it comes to your intellectual ability. You know, sometimes you let that alone. But if the group wants to do that, then I certainly go along with you.
Well, I actually thought in the letter they said they would be back and we would address, but you see they're not here.
And I think that's what I'm concerned about, not to go back about, you know, what the comments were, but to legitimately answer the questions that he had concerning the whole business, so to speak.
Right.
Well, as Earl pointed out once, and we talked about that letter, he brought up a situation that he was not aware of because he never attended the meeting. And I think that was in reference to the rec center, wasn't it?
Yes, and my comment was, I would give that comment to that person instead of just bringing it out as a issue, because I would talk to that person one-to-one and let them know that if he needs to find information on that, he can go back into the records and read up on it.
And that's exactly what the
all
response
the
will
whole
be.
business is just bring them up to date where we're at. So that's where the disconnect came in. But I wouldn't want to discuss that, and the person's not here either. I would rather just talk to that person one-on-one.
Yeah, okay, and now...
That's
now
my
keep-
opinion. You do what you want.
No, it's not about do what I want, it's about responding to the letter that was presented to the board, okay? So based on that, I want to make sure that we respond respectfully to the resident and
Okay.
answer any concerns that he
I'm
has.
fine with that.
Okay?
But you know, that could also be a paper trail. That's an opinion.
He just had some, you know,
I
concerns
understand.
about what was going on and getting back to the issues, so. I think we can point him in the right direction and answer any concerns that he had. The next thing, I know we received the Elkton signage study, and just looking at the proposed signage improvements, I was wondering where were we as far as the improvements that were suggested.
That's what we just got.
The sign on 279 and everything?
Right.
They're done. They're all installed. I
Okay,
sent
so
an
everything is
email out to
studied.
everybody.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
Yes, it's done.
We'll map the study, everyone's.
All done.
Okay, all the signs have been done? Okay. And,
Yeah.
okay, and the other, I'd like to commend the Building and Zoning Department for a letter that we received, or an email that was received, commending them on a good job done with the renovation or the rebuild of the 7-Eleven across the street there. I just wanted to commend that department for all the hard work that they're doing to try to change the image of the town has dealing with businesses and rebuilds and renovations and things done in town. So I just want to make sure they realize that their hard work is going to get passed on, so that's good. And that's it for me.
Okay. Okay, Becky?
Good job, sir.
Okay. I don't even feel like saying my name, because you all know it.
We can't hear back here.
Why don't you talk into the mic, Becky, so they can hear you?
My name's Rebecca McKinney.
Becky,
Can you hear that?
Becky,
asking a question, Becky.
Sit down.
just sit down, you can sit down. There's a mic right there. Move the mic up there, see if it's stretch over there.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Not in a good mood. Number one, the town with Lewis hasn't done one thing. The past 3 weeks, or a month, maybe more, I have spent over $100. I will spend more if I have to and do without things I need. I'm sick and tired of things that's going on in this town that's not being done. Number one, I'm not well. Number two, I don't care to live. I have nothing left no more because this town will not do their job the right way. They never did and they never will. Mr. Reed, I'm very sorry you left this town. And Mr. Hicks, I'm so sorry that you're not doing your job no more. You're doing the one you got now, okay, and they're perfect. But Hollingsworth Manor has become the biggest trash place you can hold. The town is not doing their job. The new man that took Mr. Hicks's place has never done his job since he took it with the town and Elkton as well as Hollingsworth Manor. And he's not going to. I don't care whether you like it or you don't. With shoe fit, you have to work.
I'm sorry, Becky, what is the town not doing?
They're not picking up the brushes. It's laying all over Hollingsworth Manor, as well as off on High Street, as well as they went up here at Meadow Park. It looks like a pickup trash. No, I'm not able to walk, but I do it and don't care. Gotta buy something. Number one, the town's not picking up none of their trash, Mr. Gibbons, and the Hollingsworth Manor. It's been laying there for weeks. I've called 15.
I hate to be smart, but have they adopt you as the person in charge to come here and report? It'd be real nice if you brought them in person, then, you know, we might have an opportunity to question them about what we're not doing. You ever think about that?
Well, they don't like me, so how you like me now?
Okay.
They don't like me. I like you all, but I am sick and tired of the job that they're not doing. They get paid just like you do. You do a good job. Everybody else does. Why can't they? Why do we have to ride around? Why do I have to walk around? I look at trash every day up and down Main Street. Now that we don't have a building there, we have to put up with trash up against the fence, the new fence that town put up. I'm sure the town did it. Put it up. I can't get anything done. I'm disgusted. I'm trying to be nice to keep my sugar from going to 350, but personally, I don't care no more. Because I care about children. I don't care about my life. I care about the seniors, and I care about children. My life is nothing no more. I have nothing in my life to care about. I have nothing to live for no more because this town is not doing what I begged them. I've been up here for the last 15 years. Jimmy Krause was mayor. I begged him. It didn't work. I begged Rob. It didn't work. I've done beg so much that I feel like, Becky, you need to sit down and shut your mouth because nobody cares about what you care about. So why should you even have anything to say to these people or care about the children yourself because nobody else does? I have a man, and I don't care, I'm giving his address. Police department's here. You can write it down. Lives in Hollingsworth Manor. Oh, here we are. He's right there. We knock on the door, we open the door. He's not here today. How come if I can sit here and watch what goes on with his children every day, I pay my way, which makes me do without something, and I personally don't care. I've already called the state on the town because the job's not being done. These children are pitiful. If you rode out there, Mr. Gibbons, you could not sleep. Nobody on this board rode out there and seen the things that I see that goes on out there could not go home and eat or lay down and go to sleep. I also have a problem, another problem. I'm trying to stay calm, which I'm not doing very good. I'm trying to quit crying. With some things that's going on. I have called Murray. I've reported it for the last 6 months. Tags illegal. Tags dead. Delaware tags. Pennsylvania tags. New Jersey tags. Do I have to play Elkton Police Department, or do I still need to call the sheriff? I try not to do these things against our Elkton Police Department because I have seen them out here riding around. I wouldn't hide from nobody if they wanted me. Personally, if I've done something and there's children involved, I can't say what happened. But these children are breaking my heart because I said I watched the abuse. I watched a lot that shouldn't be done. Okay, another problem I had. We had the fruit stand.
But how are you going to help these children if we don't know what your problem is? We don't know what their problem is.
I know what their problem is. I'd rather not say it. I will come to you in person, if that's okay.
All right, we move on.
Okay, my other problem is with the town of Elkton. We have a fruit stand down here. Trash sits there day in, night out, day in, night out. Mayor, can we do something about this, or are you going to tell me you will and done?
You talking about the farmer's market?
Well, evidently, if you want to call it a farmer's market, I call it a fruit stand. The man's not a nasty man. But I still think that if you have a stand, no matter what you have in it, that trash that you had is not the town of Elkton's place to pick up rotten tomatoes, bananas, watermelon, cantaloupe, or any trash. It's not our place to pay these men that worked hard to do something that someone else is selling and making money on. Why can't we make him, as the owner, pick up his trash every night instead of laying there? I get on my scooter, which I shouldn't do after dark, but I do. I have to. I have no choice. I have to ride around town and make sure the buildings are okay. I do the same at my building.
Why do you have to ride by when we have police department, we have the town? You don't have to do that job. You're stressing yourself out. Now I'm listening to what you're saying. You can't do the police job and then you say how much you're doing and you're getting tired of doing it. Give it to the police to do. Let them do the job. We hear this every week and we listen to you every week. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make like I'm not getting frustrated listening to what you're saying, because everyone cares for the kids. We can't do anything. Child support, if you have a problem with them, you take it to child support. We can't do anything for the kids. We can't go in there and say, give me that child that Becky said that is being badgered or whatever. We can't go in that house and do that. You need to take it to the authority, let them deal with it. Town issues with us is town issues. That's a whole different department. Now, I'm saying that the best way I can. We're listening to you, and then we're all sitting here taking in what you're saying, but we can't do anything. Let the police do the police job.
It's never been done, never will. I know, Earl, you have a problem with me, all of you, so
I don't have a problem with
that's okay, you have that problem. this could be your last time to see me, and I know you don't care.
It's not about-
Personally, I could care less about any of you.
Becky,
I'm sorry you feel that way. It's not about that.
Yes, it is. That's the way you feel about the town. All you care about is your money.
Thank you, Miss Becky.
thank you.
All of us. The only one you can trust is Mr.
Mr.
Gibbs
Litzenberg.
and Mr. Hicks. Now there. Can't trust the mayor.
Litzenberg, 105 Walnut Lane. I've just got a couple short things, and I'll stay way within my 5-minute limit. And I think we ought to start looking at that, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Two short things. When you're having meetings on your community center, is the public going to be able to participate and voice any of our ideas we might have that might be able, something that you people haven't thought about? When you have your workshops on that?
Hopefully we get input from the community. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's New England is over there. The code enforcer doesn't seem to really be doing some of the things he's supposed to be doing. And Charles would be more aware of this than any of you because he was the code enforcer. But in your ordinances, you just have to look on page 15.16.190 and go on down from 15.16.200 in your paragraphs, emergency orders, and read through that. And some of the issues that have been coming up with some of the people in town that don't seem to have their properties, the violations they've had, it just seems like they're not, the code enforcement's not doing his job. Maybe all of you ought to look at that and make him look at it. He might clean up some of these properties around town that need work done on. Because it's in your ordinances, but they're just not being enforced. Charles, you're familiar, very familiar with this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nicholson?
James Nicholson, 13 North Street, Elkton, Maryland. I'm going to be short also.
Jimmy, you want to pull it down, son?
Okay.
There you go, thanks.
Is that a little better?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. It's about the car show. I want to know, you put the sign out the day before at 10 in the morning, streets are closed. A lot of people ride by and see that and won't even stop. I've had people say, what was the street closed all day yesterday for? I said, no, it's for the day. And I know you said the last time was, well, if they read it, the rest of the sign, but if you see the big sign that says no parking, and since you have ordinance on the street that is 2-hour parking, I feel that you could put the signs up the same day if you went to 12 noon. But the day before in the morning, that's a day and a half to close the street, and people don't read it. I just want to suggest that to the Alliance. Since I'm not a member, I'd like them to know about it. And I want to know what the protocol is, alcohol on the street for car shows. Does anyone know, are they allowed to drink on the streets? Because I tell my customers that, no, you can't take the beer out because you have the special waiver like you do on the Fall Fest. And they said, other people on the street. And I said, yeah, I see them. They're drinking out of their coolers. I said, the police are there. They could do something about it. I said, oh, I was told I'm not allowed to. So I'd like to see that addressed, why they do that. And then the other thing is, the barriers are moved down my parking lot, but they're never put back. Now, I don't mind the town using my property without asking, but I appreciate that you put the barriers back, if they're still not back. It seems like the town workers are across the street all the time to the Alliance office doing something almost every day, and they can't ride out back and just put 2 barriers back in my parking lot that they use. If you continue abusing my property, then I could just say, don't, find another way in and out. But I'm trying to work with the town. I know I'm not a member of the Alliance. I don't intend to be a member of the Alliance. As a taxpayer, I don't think I have to be a member of the Alliance. I don't like to be told what to do with my business since I've been a retailer all my life in downtown Elkton. I don't want to listen to a bunch of professional people to tell me how to run my business, and especially people with no experience. And I still think we should have accountability from the alliance. I'm giving my tax dollar, which I feel, as no member of the alliance, that I'm paying for the alliance. And I think that there should be accountability and a report made, and I really believe there's something wrong. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you. Mike? No? Okay. Nothing else? I have a motion to adjourn. Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
We're adjourned.
Girl, you really thank you.